everybody. Hello. I'm going to be spending about 10 or 15 minutes working on some hips and lower back movements today. So welcome. This will be my first recorded uh, class without anyone on here. So let's see how this goes today. So welcome. And again, we'll be focusing on hips and back. So let's take a moment to recline back onto your back. If you have some yoga blocks, you can have them close by. If you don't, that's all right. You don't necessarily need them, but you may want them for this practice. So start reclining onto your back, and we'll take a moment here, either with your knees bent and your feet on the floor. You can have your arms and legs extended. And we're just going to take a moment here to connect into our breathing, taking a couple clearing breaths in through your nose and perhaps out through your mouth. You could make your inhale and your exhale the same length, or you could allow your exhale to perhaps be a little longer. And as you're taking a few more full deep breaths in this way, perhaps noticing the back of your body against the floor, your lower back, your upper back, your shoulders. And as you breathe in, you could notice your breath expanding into the back of your body. And then exhale to soften. And if you'd like to continue to breathe in and out through your nose, as long as you're not congested, you could allow your breath to be a little bit more fluid. We're going to take a full body stretch here, perhaps reaching out from your fingers to your toes. And then bringing one knee and then the other knee in towards your chest, and maybe making a few circular movements here, or just rocking a little bit from side to side. Anytime you need a clearing breath, breathing in through your nose and out through your mouth. And let's keep our right knee towards our chest, placing your left foot on the floor. You could extend your left leg long here. And I'm going to start with a little bit of movement from side to side with my right knee out to the side and then back to the center. And just allowing a little bit of mobility for my hip joint. I'm going to maybe let my left knee draw a bit wider or slightly wider. And then when you're ready, placing your right foot on top of your left leg for figure four, and you can pause here. You could walk your feet in. If you have a block like I do, you could place your foot on top of a block. And some of you may be able to bring your knee right in towards your chest. If you're holding the back of your knee, allow your shoulder blades to soften back down towards the floor. We'll take a few more breaths here. And if your foot's on the floor, you could gradually move your right leg away from you, maybe with a gentle pressure downwards here, or away from you, sorry. A couple clearing breaths if you need, allowing any tension, any stress, any thoughts that you don't need right now to release and let go. And then we will release that side, perhaps bringing both feet to the floor, maybe a bit wider. And if it feels okay, releasing your knees a few times side to side here. And then returning to the center, and let's bring our left knee towards our chest. And again, you could extend your right leg long or keep your right foot on the floor. And I will start with a little bit of movement, bringing my knee a bit wider and then back to the center. I'm just allowing a little bit of movement for my hip joint here, that as they tend to get pretty stiff throughout the day. And then when you're ready to bring your left foot on top of your right leg, you can pause here and work your left leg away from you. You can place your right foot on a block or bring your right knee in towards your chest. holding the back of your leg, and again, starting to work your shoulders back down towards the floor. And we'll take several breaths here. See if you can soften the back of your body towards the ground, maybe breathing into your lower back here as well. And just when you're ready, we'll release that side. And again, perhaps bringing your feet a little wider and allowing your knees to release a few times from side to side. Now from here, bringing your right knee back towards your chest. If you have a strap, you could place a yoga strap around the bottom of your foot and extend your heel towards the ceiling. And if you don't, your hands behind. Now, as you can see, my ankle, my knee, and my hip line up. So you want to try to create a straight line here if you can, and then press your leg into your hands as you draw your legs back. If your legs back here, maybe bending your knee and stacking your ankle over your knee. If you're really flexible here, maybe finding an anchoring down through your hip. So you're feeling like you're plugging your leg back towards the ground and pressing it forward a little bit. So we're not trying to find as much flexibility here as we are trying to find an alignment to open up some space in the back of our leg here. So there's a pressing forward. I'm pressing my leg forward as I'm drawing my hands back. I'm going to circle my ankles a few times here. Maybe point and flex my toes a couple times. If that feels okay for you, go ahead. Or just hang out here. And when you're ready, extend that leg, maybe both legs. Give your feet a little shake, and then I'm going to switch sides. So again, I'm pressing my leg into my hands back into my leg. Flexing my toes, you could point and flex a few times, you could circle your ankle. And at the same time as I'm drawing my hands into my leg, I'm drawing down towards the floor. So it feels like I'm anchoring my lower back and my hip towards the floor. It'd be almost as if someone was pushing on the bottom of my foot, so I could feel that pressure downwards towards the floor. Just take a couple more breaths here. And just as you're ready, we'll release that side again. You may want to give yourself a big body stretch or release out through your feet. Maybe even bringing your knees back in towards your chest a couple times. Before we come up to a little bit higher from the floor, I'm either going to grab my ankles, the bottom or the sides of my feet, or you can grab behind your knees for happy baby pose. So whatever variation here. And your knees are drawing down alongside you slightly, and your shoulders are drawing back. And then try, if your lower back and your tailbone are lifting up like this away from the floor, try to anchor back down first through your lower back, and then perhaps your knees down towards the ground. So we're trying to keep the sacrum rooted to the floor. Taking a couple more breaths here. And then just whenever you're ready, we're going to release that out. Any other little bit of release perhaps from there. And I'm going to roll to one side and come up to tabletop. So hands underneath my shoulders, knees underneath our hips here. We're going to start to arch and round our spine a few times, typically called cat and cow. And for a little bit more fluid or dynamic movement, feel free to maybe make some circular movement, maybe a little bit of side to side movement. And see if you could link your breath or allow your breath to guide some of the movement here. Your hips side to side, give a little bit of side body lengthener perhaps. And then we're going to come back to the center when you're ready. Feel your tailbone draw down slightly, lower belly lifts up. So you feel this drawing in through your core. And once you have that, Maybe extend your right leg back. And as you do, again, notice if you're collapsing in your lower back. We're going to draw up slightly here and perhaps extending your opposite arm forward. When you're ready, we're going to release. I'm going to pause for a moment here, or arch and round a couple times. And then again, drawing your tailbone down slightly. Feel the lower belly draw up and in, and then your left leg extends. Maybe your right arm extends forward or both hands planted. If you start to lose the core here, knowing that that's when maybe it's a time to bring your hand back down, or also your foot. When you're ready, coming back down to the center, and this time we'll take a wide-legged child's pose. I'm going to bring my knees a little bit wider, extend my arms forward, and if you like, you could make a pillow with your hands for your forehead. We'll take a few big breaths into our heart space, up into our shoulder blades. And then as you're ready, we'll rise. Just going to turn around here. I have a bit more space facing this way. And let's step our right foot forward. And you can move your back knee back. If you need a cushion underneath your back knee, you can do that. Have your right foot a little wider. You can see my toes are turned out slightly. And I'm going to pause here. So you can either walk your hands forward or pause here. For those of you that have yoga blocks, and the floor seems a bit far away, you could place your forearms on blocks. If you can see, my ankle and my knee are lined up. So you want to avoid having your knee popping forward of your ankle. If that's the case, draw back a little bit. And you can see that my elbows are slightly forward of my shoulders here. So you want to avoid having your shoulders drawing forward as well if you can. I'll take a couple more breaths here. For this last few breaths, if you'd like to take your left hand to the ground or a block and just take a slight turn towards your front leg, you could do that. And then we're going to come back through the center and we're going to switch sides. So again here, it's harder for you to probably see my foot on this side. Front knee's over my ankle, toes are turned out slightly. Your back foot can be flat, or you can have your toes tucked. It's just personal preference. So whatever feels most comfortable for you. Elbows slightly forward of your shoulders. Again, try not to dip your shoulders forward. You want to put the least amount of pressure on our joints as we can, because we want to save our shoulders and knees and all these joints as we age. And if for the last couple breaths here, you'd like to bring your right hand down and turn towards your left leg for a couple breaths, feel free to do that. And then we'll come back to the center and extend that leg back. Now we're going to lower to the front of our body. So in any way that makes sense for you to get there, if you'd like, bending your elbows, keeping your shoulders back, lowering to the front of your body. Just going to do a little bit of lower back strengthener. Just checking in with your lower back and how this feels. You can always find, you can always skip this if you need. So your hands can start beside you here. Elbows in line with your wrists, shoulders draw back, heart lifts, or you could extend your arms back. And then drawing your core in, you may lift your legs. So you're floating your legs. And for those of you that might want to take this a little bit further, interlace your hands and stretch your knuckles back. Again, remember, you can always bring your hands back down. And we're going to lower down, take a moment to pause, And if you like, you could bend your knees, move your knees a couple times side to side here. So remembering for this one, you can always keep your feet on the floor. You don't need to lift your legs, and you have 3 different arm variations. So hands on the floor, arms stretching back, hands interlaced, and either lifting your legs or not. And then as you're ready, we're going to come back down this time, moving back to child's pose for a couple breaths. As you're ready, you can move through downward facing dog, or you could tuck your toes and move right up into a standing forward fold here. So either way, we're going to spend a few breaths either in downward dog or standing forward fold. And we will make our way up to standing here though. So maybe taking another breath or two in down dog if that's where you are. And then making your way into a forward fold. You're going to slowly rise. Come all the way up to standing. Okay. So just a short segment for hips and lower back. So I'm only going to take a couple of standing poses here. I'm going to start with a standing forward fold, freeing up our lower back, and definitely the back of your legs and the inner lines of your legs, if they're tight, stretching those out will help to free up some space in your lower back. So let's take a deep breath in here. And then as you exhale, let's forward fold. Your hands can rest on blocks or on the floor. You could also interlace your hands behind you if you want a shoulder opener, and releasing the top of your head towards the floor. Just take maybe 2 more breaths here. And let's take a moment to begin to lift up about halfway. I'm going to walk my feet in just a little bit and then press down and rise and come all the way up to standing. I'm going to turn my right foot forward, and I'm going to come to triangle pose here. So I'm going to lean forward, place my front hand down, find a little bit of extension through my spine. So my legs are working hard to draw up, my core is drawing in here to support my lower back. Maybe your hand reaches up or reaches forward, or keeping your hand on your hip. So feeling this nice side body lengthener. And then let's rise to come up. And let's switch sides here. Hinging forward. You can always shorten your stride if you feel like this is maybe too wide of a stride for you. You can have your hand on your shin or on a block. Legs are hugging in slightly. Maybe an extension through your arm or hand on your hip. And as you're ready, we're going to stand back up. Step our feet in. Let's just take another breath. And make our way back down. Toes turning out. I'm going to come into Malasana squat pose. Now, option to rest your elbows above your knees. If you have a block, or you could stack 2 blocks or turn your block on its side, you could sit down on a block. Or not. You can just come right into squat pose, just depending on how this feels. And know that you could come out and sit down and release from this anytime you need to. We'll just spend maybe another 4 or 5 breaths here if you can. And if your shoulders are slouching forward like mine are, you could lengthen your shoulders back, lift up through your spine, and then let your hips relax a little bit. And any way that makes sense for you to come down. And I'm going to lean back. I'm going to release my knees a few times side to side. You're welcome to also extend your legs forward, shake it out a little bit here. And to finish off, we're going to spend maybe about a minute or so reclined in bound angle, feet together, knees wide to the sides, wherever it's comfortable for your arms to rest, shoulder blades on your back. If you'd like to close your eyes for this minute and give yourself a little mini Shavasana, feel free to do that. Your knees are still wide, bring them back to the center, and then either with one knee or both knees, you could bring your knees up towards your chest. You can have your feet on the ground and rock a few times side to side. If you'd like to take some time to pause in Shavasana or take a few breaths on your seat, you're more than welcome. But I thank you for joining me for this little bit of hips and back today. So thank you so much. Have a wonderful, wonderful day.